Starting soon.
Is there anyone named Mike in the room? If anyone's name is Mike, please stand up.
Alrighty, well, welcome back, viewers and Album Book Club fans, if there are any of you out there, to another episode of the Album Book Club.
Oh, I know what just made the reel.
We'll stam.
Today we are discussing Over the Edge by Wipers, not the Wipers. Wipers, I get confused a lot. This album came out in 1983, by, of course, the Wipers, who were cited to be, I believe, the first punk band in the Northwest region. Or first punk / grunge band. They were kind of pioneers of their style, and they influenced a lot of later music, especially the grunge scene. Heavily influenced on Nirvana, even to the point where I believe Kurt Cobain would play a cover of the first track off this song. Pretty often live, and I think there's even studio recordings of it. But yeah, let's just get into it. The first song off this album is, I guess, the eponymous song of the album.
We do top 3.
Oh yes,
And
we do
also,
top three.
we have a guest tonight.
We do have a guest. Excuse me,
Carl is
Carl.
back.
It's
Sorry, Carl.
It's not me,
We got Carson back.
Yeah.
We got Carson and Carson too.
What's going on?
Hello, friends.
Well, then I guess we should get into our top three songs off the album. Just before we hop in, I'm a little hasty with my approach. I apologize. My top 3 off of this album were The Lonely One, Romeo, and then Now Is the Time.
My top 3 were Messenger, No One Wants an Alien, and So Young.
All right, my top 3. I got Romeo at number 1. I put No One Wants an Alien at number 2. And then I couldn't decide on a number 3, so it's tied between Doomtown and The Lonely One.
My top 3. Number 1 is What Is. Number 2, Romeo. Number 3, The Lonely One.
My top 3 is Romeo, The Lonely One, and So Young.
Alrighty, so I believe that takes us into the first song.
Bottom song.
Bottom song. Again, a little hasty. My bottom song of this album was No Generation Gap.
My bottom song was This Time.
My bottom song was Messenger.
My bottom song is No One Wants an Alien.
Bottom song is What Is.
Seems like we're
Y'all
pretty
getting
split here.
crucified on that couch by me.
Why?
No One Wants an Alien. Goated.
But yeah, this will be a fun one. We seem to be pretty split, so that now takes us into the first song. That is Over the Edge, which, as I said, is the eponymous title off of this album. To me, I give this an 8 out of 10.
Oh, yeah. I gave this a 7 out of 10.
I gave this one an 8 out of 10.
I give this one a 6.3 out of 10.
I gave this one a 7 out of 10.
I will say personally, this song just kind of seemed like the quintessential punk song. That's really how it rubbed me in this case. Very impactful lyrics, and it's catchy, but like any punk song, really, it gets kind of repetitive. But I still enjoyed it pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, I thought this set up something that was going to be very prevalent on the album, which is the clashing styles of punk music they were doing. Where it was like kind of like the Ramones surfer rock, like the Clash and Sex Pistols, kind of like just straightforward punk. And then mixed in with a lot of like what we consider Midwest emo these days, but you know, was just punk back then.
I completely agree with everything that Steven said, honestly. But I thought it was a pretty good way to introduce this album and the sound of this album. And I did really like there's like a guitar break in the middle of it. I thought it was really cool.
That guitar break I thought was pretty cool. I like the actual like kind of groove this song had. Some of that Ramon coming out. My thing about this song, it didn't need to be 4 damn minutes long. We get the same thing. 4
Yeah.
minutes.
It's
I don't
kind
know,
of long
as-
for a punk song.
As a title track to the album?
It
Yeah,
should
it
it should have
should've
been
been.
here. I
It
think
at
if you
least
put
shoulda
this
gotten
middle
a
album,
second verse that was different.
nah, this is you guys don't like punk music that much, do you? You're not popping on the Sex Pistols on the regular.
No.
This is very in that groove, and that's just how punk is. It also sounds like it was recorded in a dumpster.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna make a title track to an album, it should probably be around this long.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have any issues with the length.
Yeah, but it has to
think this
have
was
different
great.
things in it other than but the same thing for
I kind of disagree. I think the way he thought of this was almost like an exposition. You know, I read that I guess he worked in a movie theater for a little while. Greg Sage, who pretty much is Wipers, he was said something along the lines of he was looking to create cinematic moods with his music. He thought of it almost like a movie score. So this kind of turns out as a good exposition. That explains the repetition. and stuff.
You know, I will say it is funny too that you bring up Greg Sage, and especially when you brought up the fact that it sounds like it was recorded in a dumpster, because I do agree. But it is ironic considering that Greg Sage does have background with actual like pressing
Yeah.
onto vinyl, and he is like kind of an expert of that. So I find it funny that the quality of the recording itself is just kind of
Yeah,
lackluster.
I'm pretty sure it's on purpose. I found that
Yeah.
story as well. Apparently, his dad worked at a TV station, and when they were getting out of records, he brought a record lathe home. So there's a story where he like made money like ripping things off the radio and putting them on records for people, which would not have been a common thing at all.
The original
Oh.
mixtape.
Yeah,
like, like mixtapes with a
Homie was
record
doing
lathe.
live wire way before it became a thing.
Honey, I made you a mixtape 45. Forever Young on the front and Van Halen 1 on the back.
Well, I believe that takes us into the second song then, which is Doomtown. I gave this song an 8.3 out of 10.
Gave this one another 7 out of 10.
I give this one a 9 out of 10.
Give this one a 5.7 out of 10.
Gave this one a 6.5 out of 10.
Personally, I love the intro off of this song. It feels a bit like teen angst, but it has a little bit more of, I guess, a little bit more energy to it, whether that be anger or however the energy is presented. Nonetheless, I do like the message of this song. It kind of seemed like it was speaking out against, I guess, well, one, complacency and also conformity. So I believe like this song is just kind of talking about how, you know, everyone's the same, you know, like life is just kind of blank, and it seems like a cry out against that, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I think that's what warranted the rating for me.
Someone else go. Mine,
Cool.
mine's not following that one.
Okay, so like I actually really liked this song because in my head I just like imagine Skeletor being like Doomtown over and over again, and that just made me immediately love this.
Damn it!
Um,
Now I want to flop my score.
Yeah, I actually thought that was really cool. I enjoyed it.
For me, if you played the first song and this song to me, I would not be able to tell. They sound so similar in my brain. The guitar riff sounds so similar. It's like the same
Bro
exact
definitely does
rhythm
not like
almost.
This
Uh,
is
the drums were like super similar in my brain. I couldn't. I was like, this is the same song again.
there was distortion on the first one, and this one had like cleaner reverby sounds with like a little bit of dirt.
To my ears, it sounded pretty much.
You just
It
don't
was
appreciate
so
it,
hard
man.
to. And that and the I couldn't really latch onto the lyrics. There's this weird empty spot towards the end of the song that I'm sure is there for artistic purposes, and I couldn't decide if I liked it or not.
So I didn't hear it at the end. I thought it was the whole middle. To me, this sounded like a chorus, a huge chunk of punk instrumental, and then the same chorus from earlier over
Mhm.
again, and that's where it got the score for me. Like it's not terrible, but if you told me to put on a Wipers song, this is never gonna be number one. It's never gonna be the first one that goes up.
This was where I mentioned earlier to Steven, it kind of reminded me. This is the song that kind of reminds me of Everlong. The guitar player is very percussive, like Dave Grohl is. It felt like, whereas like almost there's drum beats on guitar, and it is in that middle section where it does, it does like that similar rise that Everlong does on the guitar.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of that.
Allow me to digress for a second. If no one knows this story, it's really interesting. I believe it's Sonic Youth, but when Dave Grohl wrote Everlong, he actually messaged another band to see if he had stolen one of their riffs. And they sent it back and were like, no, that's not ours. I think it's Sonic Youth, but someone feel free to correct me.
It was
If I am
actually
wrong.
the Wipers.
I don't think I know it wasn't Wipers, but
Focus.
it's something like that. It's a really interesting story. Sorry, go on with.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I just I also equated this like I said, the Midwest emo sound. This was definitely the like softer guitar, not necessarily as complex as Midwest emo can be, but it had like strange seeming chords and less distortion effects on it. Yeah, I like the song, and I would definitely listen to this one again, but it's not the first Wipers song I'd play.
Does anybody else have a piece to speak on this?
I didn't really like it.
Well, then I believe that takes us to the third track, which is So Young. I gave this song an 8.4 out of 10.
Gave the song an 8 out of 10.
Gave this song an 8 out of 10.
Song is 6.4 out of 10.
I gave this song an 8 out of 10.
Damn, I'm really hating this episode.
This is, I think, the first song off of this album that I kind of had a struggle with really writing too much on. For punk, at least for me, I mean, it's kind of like pretty cut and dry. Like, you know, it's a punk song. It's good. I like it. Now I feel like the vocals really shined on this, and that I feel like the instrumentals, like everything aside from the vocals, really took a backseat on this song. I mean, I know it's kind of like that for a lot of punk music, just because punk is about delivering a message. However, I think it was especially so on this track as opposed to others.
Hold on,
So-
I'm looking at my notes, and I think
I thought Carson was about to cook, so I didn't say anything.
so I wrote only positive things about this song. I feel like either way, I'm gonna stick with my original rating of 6.4. But I actually hooked onto like the background in this a little bit. You know, the first two songs I thought they sounded very similar, but there was a little bit of a difference. In this one, it sounded almost the exact same as the last one, with a little bit of a difference. And I'm like, okay, the background track almost seems like it's evolving. And with what you said earlier about it kind of being a more cinematic thing, I could definitely pick up on that now. I can put those connections together. You know, the background track kind of seemed like it evolved based off the last song. And I thought that was pretty cool. And also, the vocals in this one hit. Lyrics and all. It's a good message.
Yeah, this was definitely like a genre clash with what we had heard before. To me, this was a swap, like a switch up in the punk styles, and I liked it a lot. I thought it fit really well. Like this kind of is where you start to do the turning point. You're off the intro, you're going to what you should be for most of the album. Then you wind down later. Yeah, I think it played its spot and it did it really well.
After you said that, it has now occurred to me that my top 3 are the ones that are most different from the first 2. I didn't really have any specific notes, but this was the first song that like stood out somehow, with having no notes. But it did have the intro was a little long to this one. I don't remember how long. I wrote down an intro later, but this one I felt like was way longer than that. Should have written it down, but I still liked this one more than the last 2 songs.
Fair enough.
I don't know who needs the camera.
Am I up? So I actually didn't write much down for Messenger. This was my least favorite track on the album.
That
but-
is the next song.
That's the next. We're on
Oh,
So
I'm
Young.
still on So Young. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't have anything that stuck out other than it keeps building the mood up.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing that once I read that I was like, okay, all this makes sense. He's trying to set like cinematic moods, almost like landscapes or backgrounds and stuff with the instrumentals, and it kind of keeps setting that up, keeps it moving. It's one of the overarching themes.
Definitely a rising action song. Stop laughing, bitch.
That one's in the.
Not funny.
Lock in.
Anyways, I believe that takes us to the next song, which is Messenger. I gave this song an 8.5 out of 10.
I gave this song a 9 out of 10.
Well, I already ruined the surprise. I gave this one a 7.5.
I give this one a 7.2.
I gave this one a 7.
Alrighty.
I also did not expect mine to be the lowest score.
I hate you with a 0.2.
Yeah,
True,
that's kind
true.
of cheating.
This guy had one person tell him that you're not a professional until you use decimal points, and the next day he shows up.
No, I was just
with
like,
one
this
for
album
all.
is
Real.
riddled with 6s and like 7s for me. So it's like I can't just mark everything as 6.
Hey, you can.
You can.
We've done it before.
Do it again.
Honestly, I feel like this was a song that stood out to me first. When listening to the album, I know you guys said, I believe it was So Young that stood out to you guys first. This was the song, like this was that song for me. If that makes sense. I think there was just more change in the actual like progressions being played, or like the runs and things like that, and I enjoyed that. More so, I think this was one of the more fun songs on the album. The other 3 songs, or the previous 3 songs, just kind of started to feel like, I'm mad, grr, which is great, but I feel like this was more of like a, get up and start moving.
Yeah, this one is like short and sweet. I actually kind of like that. Like I think this is one of the shorter songs on the album, isn't it? It's only like 2 minutes long.
A minute 54.
Yeah.
Minute 54. Yeah, I liked some of like the bigger guitar hits in this one. I think they really fucked. And then for me, there still wasn't enough like variation.
They're just laughing at me because I have the list here that it was exactly a minute and 54 seconds. That's all. Sorry.
Laughing
Are you
at your
clowning him
Wikipedia
for having a
article?
printout?
It's fine.
And I'm clowning you for saying fucks.
That's in my vocabulary.
Was it
Yeah.
before the event?
Yeah.
I just
We need to
remember
pull
what
up
you're
some of
talking
the
about.
first episodes. And then
Hey,
I can
hey.
tell you.
It's not a secret. There's 0 people watching, and it goes out in like 6 days.
That is true. For
Oh,
those of you
yes.
specifically, Witchy, when you watch this back, next Thursday we have a Harmless Habit interview where we went to a record store, met up with his band. They were cool as fuck.
Love those guys.
We'll hang out with them again.
Those guys fuck.
Those guys do fuck.
Those guys do fuck. They, as KB would say, are fire.
Also, Vic, if you're watching this, shout out to you. Love you, bro. She told me she would watch.
I was thinking you meant Harmless Habit bass player. I was like, that's a very okay call out, but like,
Wait, they're big.
I'll tell you later. Anywho, this is a 9 out of 10 because I got a big fat nostalgia boner. This is if the Sex Pistols and Clash did a song together, and that is all it was. And I was here for every second of it. I had listened to the Sex Pistols on the regular, and the Clash pretty regularly too. I love punk. This was right up my alley. I was here for every second.
Let me defend my score real quick. It is
Go off.
only a 7 because it is not long enough to be an 8. I wanted more of this song. If there was more, it would have been an 8.
If this song had any more, it would have been a 10.
If this song had more, I feel like I would have rated it lower.
If
I liked how short it was.
I
like
I
another
got-
30 seconds
You know what? I can see
to
that.
tie it off.
yeah.
30 seconds, yeah. That
So
probably would have bumped it up.
remember, I got to the end of it and I was like, really? That's it? There should have and could have been more.
All I
Shoulda,
know
coulda,
is
woulda.
I just
Exactly.
I listened to this and then I went back and listened to it again and then I rated it.
Maybe that's what I should have done.
I was ready.
I'll say it again. I really didn't put anything down in the notes for this one. It was my least favorite track on the album, and I guess it's probably because it's probably the most traditional punk out of all of it. And that's probably the thing. I mean, the rest of the album leans a little more alternative. You know, a little different, little newer. Sounds a lot newer than it is. And I think this was just my least favorite purely because of it. And I still gave it a 7.5. I mean, I still like this song.
Well, then I believe that takes us to Romeo. I gave a song an 8.6 out of 10.
Gave this song a 6 out of 10.
Wow, I gave this song a 10. I love this.
I give the song a 7.6 out of 10.
Give the song an
Why is he mean
8.5 out
today?
of 10.
Carl and Steven are sharing one brain cell today. That's a very dangerous game.
He's using my rating system.
Oh, you meant Carson. I thought you meant Carl. This is definitely a song that on a different day you would probably rate a 10 out of 10.
Honestly, this song is fire. I really liked it. It was great. It fucks.
Oh, I'll one up Steven. I'd say this song's an Inferno. It's above fire. I love this.
Oh shit, this is Hot Cheetos.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this was really cool. I specifically wrote down that some of the vocal parts were written in really, really cool. Like I don't fancy words. I don't think it's technically a metric modulation that he's doing in the vocals, but it is it's way more than I expected, and it totally took me off guard. And I was like, man, that is cool. Just the way the vocals lay over the track.
You know what I really loved about the vocals in the song? The word Juliet. Oh my god. The amount of emotion and power behind when he just belts that. That's
Yeah.
basically why the song got so high.
Yeah, and then like towards the end, where there is no Juliet,
Mhm.
kind of like brings you back to
Damn.
reality.
Yeah.
This song, I think, in very few words, although they were said many times, just tells a great story. That was like one of the most prominent notes I put about this song.
Yeah, I have been walking around all day like saying like Romeo like over and over again. Like it's been stuck in my head hilariously enough, and I'm like, where that
You
should
will say the word Rome like 40 times.
yeah, it's really been stuck in my head all day. It was really impressive.
Rome.
This is definitely another
Romeo.
instance of I will recognize that the song is good and it's just not for me. And that's purely why I gave it 6 out of 10. Like I wouldn't go show this to somebody. But like I said, I like the more traditional, the classic style of punk, that 60s, 70s type shitty recording, one album, then the band broke up type shit. That's my genre. And this, I think, goes a little closer to what we like have as modern punk. This is like the basis for it almost. And I'm just not a huge fan of that. But it's still good. Thumbs up.
The opposite side of that, this is probably the one that's furthest from the first couple on this. those are the ones that got the higher scores for me.
I did find out this was released as a single before the album, and it actually was meant to go on the album before this, which I just looked up the title.
The
make sure I didn't
first
say it wrong.
album.
Youth of America. No, so this is the third. This is the third. The second album,
Okay.
Youth of America. So this was supposed to go on that album, and they find it didn't fit that one. So they released that recording as a single, and then re-recorded it to go on this album. So it does match the timbre, but I do think that's like my only criticism of this song at all is in the picture of the album.
It is a flow bust.
It does kind of stick out a little bit, which I think actually added to the impact of it for me, but it could definitely take away from some of the flow.
We'll see. Yeah, flow of this, there was a few things that broke it up, and I thought they had hit at like the perfect times. 'Cause there's one spot later where I get a little fatigued from this album, but after the first two songs, I think the flow was really good because of it being broken up like this.
I'm all good.
All right.
Commanded like he was a dog, bro. What the fuck was that?
Had to give him the KB treatment.
Well, I believe that takes us to that is now is the time. 8.5 out of 10. Just solid.
7 out of 10.
I gave this one an 8.
6.1.
7.
Honestly, I really did not have much to say about this song. I really enjoyed it. However, I just thought it was simple, but it was poignant. Like, it conveyed the message.
This was another one for me that, much like most punk music, is very much they all are on the one beat the entire time and no one strayed from it. And I loved it, but it was just a little too long for me to love it that much.
Well, this is weird. I kind of agree with Logan. I think it kind of was flat. The way they stuck around on the same thing for so long did make the song a little long. I think that's probably why it ended up being an 8 for me.
Reason it's so low for me. They gave me something different, and they put it right back to the same shit. And I'm like, God damn it.
Did you fall
Gotta
off a
go
ladder and
back.
hear the words repeatedly?
You know what? Might as well.
Is this your new
Uh,
drip, drip, drip?
No, it's not. But that's the thing about it, right? Because I can see that it's a good song. It probably just isn't for me. It probably isn't my style. It has merit. 6.1. It deserves it.
It is.
With the black screen.
Hit 4 on accident.
Oh.
I can't even go through with that.
Yeah, this one, it's good. It doesn't do that much to stand out. I don't have anything against this song. It was almost the thumbs up of this album. It's real close.
Yeah, I think this would have been a good.
That was worse
That was
than
not
Connor's.
even close.
You got
That
a
would've been a
Shaq
good
free
thumbs up
throw right
emoji.
there.
Goddamn. Well,
No,
Oh.
we're not on that.
anyway,
My bad.
this takes us then to what is. I gave this song an 8.4 out of 10.
Gave this one a 6.5 out of 10.
Steven and I are gonna have to get together and check our averages and see how close they are. Mine's an 8.5.
7.8.
Actually, my overall is an average. We'll see.
This one got this is what is, right? Yeah. 6 out of 10.
All right, let's go on the defense first, Connor, before Steven starts yapping. It's just a song, man. Like that's all it is
Yep.
to me. I couldn't get any deeper connection. I like the lyrics were there. They felt like yapping kind of. The guitar was there. It felt simple and like to fill the
It felt like
space.
yapping.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it just felt like yapping. So
This is the yappiest.
I missed 100% of this song listening to this album.
so did I. I had my
I heard-
ratings wrong.
I
for
heard the
the
last song, and then I heard No One Wants an Alien. And I was like, that's definitely, I know that name, and that's not the song we were on. I had to go back. And luckily I caught it, otherwise I would have not even written notes for it.
Well,
Hold on, I have a mid review if we want to go from bottom to top because I liked it. You know, I thought the vocals sounded better in the song for whatever reason. They sounded like distinctly better. And I like the message that's conveyed here, and that's basically where it turned on.
definitely in like an existential crisis moment.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of felt that. So I was resonating with the message on this one. Now there was a guitar break in the song, and it reminded me distinctly of the guitar break in Feel the Pain by Dinosaur Jr.
So yeah, let me break in. I was gonna talk about that later. Jay Mascis is a huge fan of Greg Sage.
That makes sense.
That tracks.
Now I feel great because I don't look stupid now. Thank you, Carl. You're my dog. Appreciate you.
I want to point out that you guys complained about Messenger needing to be 30 seconds longer. This song's exactly 25 seconds longer, so I thought it was the perfect.
Good length. Bad song to put it on.
It's probably due to order. Like, if this was in a different place in the album, it probably wouldn't have blended in so much.
If I had literally like 45 seconds to rearrange this album, I can guarantee you it would come out better.
You know, it's funny because I thought this song was 45 seconds when I missed it. I thought that's all I was gone for.
I missed this track, and then like the 10th track on the album the first time completely.
We are the same person this week.
Well then, I believe this takes us then to No One Wants an Alien. Quit looking at me like that. Fuck. Lock in. We almost kissed. That would have been romantic.
That's on the
That would've
OnlyFans
been
link in
crazy.
bio.
That's now the makeout couch, just so you know.
Hell yeah, the cool couch and the makeout couch. Let's go.
The cool makeout couch.
8.3 out of 10.
Oh damn! I gave it a solid 8 out of 10.
I give it a 9.5. I really like this song.
Damn.
I feel like I should go last.
Felt the same. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
I gave it a 5.2.
Fuck you!
It was not that bad.
Listen, let me go on the defense.
All right.
Wrong.
I just didn't fucking like it.
Wrong.
It's the same shit. The vocals went back down to being quiet and muddy. I didn't like the sound. I'm sorry. It's just
Do you
not
hear
for
that?
me.
That's Logan choking on your bullshit.
That's fucking
Sorry.
facts. This is just punk David Bowie. It's the greatest shit known to fucking man because I love David Bowie.
Let me get mine in real quick.
Let him get his lick in.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
Sam!
You know what? Yeah.
You did it to punk David Bowie?
Yeah, that's why.
It was that or the one from earlier. I don't remember.
Should have picked the other one.
I think, I'd really like to hear what you have to say, especially because you gave it such a high rating. So, like, what brought this song together for you?
It was like Logan literally nailed it because when I was listening to this, I was like, this kind of sounds like David Bowie, but in a really good way. The vibe was just awesome. Like this is gonna go on like a mix that I listen to in the middle of it. Now, maybe not my favorite song ever, but from having not heard of this album, I felt like an idiot when I listened to a couple of these, and this was another one that I was like, wow, I'm an absolute idiot for not knowing this. And I was just super impressed. I love the vibe. The lyrics were cool. I mean, I was down for all of it.
I didn't feel that way at all.
You're just wrong. We've already established it.
No, I did like the message on this song, though. It kind of seemed to be about, like, living as an outcast and, that, I guess, the consequences of that. Now, this song kind of had a more clean tone to it in terms of the guitar. I think the intro was more clean, and I think that made the song stick out from the others, especially because, the previous songs have just been mostly, like, heavy distortion, crank the gain, in your fucking face.
This was definitely like they played through a dirty tube amp. and that was where all the grit came from.
It was an Ampeg from what I read. I dug. So I did. I liked the guitar tone so much on this album. So he had a Les Paul with P90s, and from what I read, Greg Sage apparently dug into this guitar so much he rewound his own pickups, which is that's kind of insane. So I mean, he went through and rewound his own pickups, was incredibly picky about his amps, was known for not using pedals, specifically told people that all he used was a 25-foot cable. There's parts of this album that definitely have a distortion pedal on it, but this to me was a small amp cranked up, and I was like, yeah, that's a guitar. I think that was definitely some of it for me too.
I think we could recreate that. Carl and I have the same amplifier.
What if we just run them into each other?
Well, we cranked his to 10 at the store one time, and it shook everything.
Yeah, we felt like some stuff was falling apart. They're loud. I have a little amp that you can run into the front of the other amp, and then I ran my other amp into that one. So I've plugged 3 into each other before. That's kind of fun.
Damn. Well, I cannot even imagine. I'm sorry, I can't get over that.
Oh, it's not. They don't multiply. You have like a headroom limit, so like it just gets dirtier.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
Like a Walmart bathroom. The stall levels. Don't go to the handicap one.
I can't even say anything else. Jesus. Well, I believe that takes us then to The Lonely One. I gave this an 8.7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
I give this a 9 out of 10.
7.3 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
All right, let me get mine out of the way. It broke my heart to give this a 7 out of 10, except for this should have been the final track, and it would have been a 9 all day. It came to bad placement for me.
I'll actually defend the song from that. I think we needed it here to break up the album again. I thought it was placed pretty well. I think it could have been a really good last song, and we'll get to that
I think if
later,
you
but
swap in the next one where this was, it would have done that better, and you could still have this as the last song.
But I did like the placement of this one here as well.
It also
That's-
helps bring down the energy levels,
Mhm.
like for a good wind down.
Oh, it totally would if the next two
That-
songs
that is
fucking
true.
Yeah,
followed
that
it.
is true.
I wrote that before I listened to the next 2 songs. So
Oh,
There
I
you go.
listened. I changed this review of this song after the album finished.
No, I was a really big fan of the guitar intro on the song. It just fucks. Like I really didn't have much else to say about it other than that. However, I really liked the vocals on this song, and it was very very indicative of Alice in Chains. I forget their vocalist's name, but yeah, it was killing me when I was thinking about it earlier.
Which one? The alive one or the,
The
not
dead
alive
one.
one?
Laney?
It's I think it's
not like
Lane.
we all have
It's
phones.
Lane something, isn't it?
I think it's Lane. Hold on.
Lane Bryant.
Is that it?
No, that's
Oh, that's
the
yeah.
plus size women's store.
Wow, you're terrible.
It's Luke Bryant.
Sorry. Side note: I thought Allison Chains
Lane
was a person.
Staley.
Allison, I thought that was like a girl's
Lane
name.
Staley.
Lane Staley. Yeah, that's the guy's name.
Sorry.
I'm getting canceled this episode.
You're getting canceled on Monday.
It's fine.
Is it me? Did I go yet? No. Okay, so I'm the only one left. So I gave this a 9, and in my notes, I wrote, "This is what Nirvana would sound like if Kurt Cobain could sing."
ooh. Dang.
I-
You're not
I-
wrong,
Facts.
though. You're not
I-
wrong.
I literally was like, man, this makes Nirvana sound like a Nirvana cover band. And I think a lot of the stuff on this album does to a point. But this was the track that I was like, oh wow, there's a tempo change that works. There's all these things that other bands try to do, and it really pulled off like how rehearsed Wipers are. Like, that I think that's the thing that for me kind of made this almost more of an alt album instead of a punk album. I had a hard time swallowing it as punk because everything is so clean, is so rehearsed, is so perfect. I mean, that tempo change, they're all perfectly together, and this was done in '83, so they weren't playing to a click. I mean, it's like I wonder how long it took them to practice this to get it perfect, or if they're just all killer musicians or what. But to get this and pull it together at the level they did was just super impressive to me.
I'd wager to say it's all the above, but
It is, yeah, for a punk album, it is very, very much on tempo. The recording is trashy, and that's probably why they're like, yeah, there's a punk album, but record through shit.
grr.
I actually do think they did it to make it sound like a punk album in post. Like I think this probably sounded completely different when they were done. Because I read an interview where Greg Sage talked about he always thought of it as a recording band. You know, they were never meant to be a live band, which is kind of the antithesis of punk. I mean, punk is like you play rowdy shows, you do this, and then sometimes you do it under the microphone.
But isn't that in and of itself punk?
Yeah, and there's a really, there's a really interesting interview where he talks about he doesn't like being classified as punk. That punk is more of an era, and he was in that era. But he was never really a punk musician, just like no one's really a jazz musician. That jazz was just an era, and I appreciated that being a lame jazz musician. But I really thought that was a cool quote.
You say, what if this is like you take all the distortion off? It's like a hybrid fusion album. You just hear all the hidden shit, like weird ass licks. Go nuts. Connor would buy it at a record store without even knowing what it is.
God damn right. Hit every button on the switcher when I did.
Well, I believe that takes us into the next song. I believe everyone's spoken their piece. And that is No Generation Gap. I gave this song a flat 7 out of 10.
Flat 7 out of 10.
I gave this one an 8.
6.9.
6.
Damn.
I just want to point out the irony of this song. I believe it's in the chorus or whatever part of the song. He says, I could write a long, long novel. And then there's another parts of that quote. However, he does repeat that same statement a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you could write a long, long novel, why not write the long novel? However, I do appreciate the irony. I think this song did not especially stick out to me. So I think that's why I rated it lower than the other songs. I think I started to get kind of fatigued from the punk sound. It is kind of a lot to
I think
take
this
in.
song is kind of hindered by some of the sounds from earlier in the albums, just because we've heard them so much. Like I think this would have been rated higher if it was kind of in the front half of this album for me at least, because I really like the lyrics and kind of the vibe that go along with that.
Yeah, I put it as an 8 because I love the vibe it had. I think I was still kind of riding off kind of the high of just enjoying the last couple's tracks so much. But I did really enjoy that this was here, because had it just ended, I would have felt like I wanted more after the last two.
I thought this one was okay. Nothing really bad about it, but I just didn't love this one.
Yeah, I did enjoy this song a lot. But the only thing I thought it felt bad at was it was really muddy, and it might have just been the way that I was listening to it. 'Cause AirPods boost the fuck out of the bass. Sorry,
Bass the fuck out of the boost, baby.
yeah, and so it was just kind of
Can you put that on
really
the shirt?
muddy and
Yes,
hard
we
to
can.
hear through my AirPods.
So-
But the vibe was great.
If I interrupt for a second, which version did you listen to?
The one that was on the Bass Apple Music album.
Okay, because I listened to I guess they did a vinyl reissue that Sub Pop put out, and it was remixed, and the whole album did sound considerably better. Just FYI, if anyone's gonna.
I
Gotta look
might
for it.
actually check that out.
That is good to know. I think we should check it out. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm
Are we
thinking
getting
about
paid
the way
for
home.
that plug?
Huh?
Getting paid to plug the record.
No.
Well, we did it anyways. Thank you, wipers.
Shout out Wipers.
And I believe that leaves us only with the final track off this album, which is called This Time. I gave this an 8.4 out of 10.
This was my lowest rated song on the album with a 6.
Give this one another 8.
6.
7.
This is not how you end an album.
No,
this
it's
was
not.
this was straight back up to like fast pace, go fuck shit up mode, and I was here for it. But it was the end of the album, and also it was like 40-minute venture of straight punk music with no breaks.
Mm,
So I was ready for a closer.
definite fatigue getting all the way to this point, and it not being like an actual ending is kind of punky. You know, that's kind of cool.
I like the guitar work on this song, especially. I think that stuck out to me.
Mhm.
They have some really interesting runs. However, this song, I think I was like 30 seconds in, and I was like, yeah, this song definitely sounds like it'd be in like the MX versus ATV soundtrack. That's where it needs to be. But other than that, I had nothing.
I don't know. Go ahead.
I was just gonna go ahead and say that I didn't have the fatigue when listening to this song because I didn't get to it when I listened to the rest of the album. I got to it several hours later. But the song on its own is really good. But this is not how you end an album. 100%. That's where it lost any points that it lost from is being the last track.
So I actually kind of enjoyed this being the last track. I'm gonna fight you guys on this one. You guys ever seen the movie Crank?
Yeah.
Nope.
So like
long
imagine
time
how
ago.
weird that movie would be at the end if Jason Statham was like, "Yeah, everything's okay now."
That's true. That is very valid point.
Like-
Except
like-
for this was 40 minutes of punk, and I don't think the world's gonna get any less punk after it.
Grr.
I don't know. I think it fit the mood of the rest of the album and gave you kind of a solid thing to kind of close it on and be like, all right, this is it. You know, it was solid and it seemed to be in the right spot for me. I don't know.
I could kind of see that, like with what I was saying. You know, it kind of feels in the right mood to end the album, not on an actual ending.
It is definitely like if you were listening to another like punk album after this, the perfect song for that. But I think because I did a hard cut off, took my headphones out, and then went and did shit for 2 hours without listening to music. So it was like that was just my cutoff for music for the day.
The actual ending does feel kind of abrupt. It just kind of stops.
Yeah, it's very cut off.
I feel like that is also kind of punk. Which, like, yeah, I did notice that as well because when I was listening to it earlier, I was like, it just stopped. Kind of like the last episode of The Sopranos, and you're watching it, and you think your freaking cable box broke. Because it just cuts to black. It's nothing. It's kind of how I felt with
You
this.
just spoiled the ending.
Isn't the ending of Lost like 45 minutes of an hour of black screen?
The ending's been out for what, 15 years now? You've
Didn't
had
someone,
time.
like, get stabbed over spoiling that ending.
Like when it came out on TV, I think.
Kill
Hey,
me.
hey guys, Snape kills Dumbledore.
That's crazy.
Didn't know that.
Yo, Loki, if I had not actually sat down and watched those Harry Potter movies within the last 6 months all the way through for the first time, I Loki probably would have been pissed. I'd have been like,
I've never read Horny Potter, so
all right, I am going to give you guys your allotted ad break time, so we can get this ad break done before we move into the rest of it.
Cool.
Oh, you were gonna film it? We can do it later. I thought we were just gonna do it in the live. Say, fuck it. Oh, cool. We'll do it later. Never mind. Does anyone have to go
As
somewhere,
he's
though?
crap
You can still run one if you want it. But
I was just gonna see if someone was going to the bathroom. They could give me a beer. I'm lazy. Ad break time. See our sick ass shirts and hoodies.
Woo!
You can't buy Carl's, unfortunately, on our website, but you can buy all these other ones on our link tree that is pasted on our Instagram bio and our Twitter bio. And if you go through YouTube, you'll find it eventually. Also, we have some of us have album book club pages on Instagram that you can now find ABC_, and then our names.
Follow them shits.
Go.
Well, with closing out our review of the songs on this album, I believe that takes us then to the final 3 ratings. I'd like to start off with Flow.
Oh, he's doing it the Logan way.
The Flow I gave flat 7 out of 10. Honestly, a lot of these songs sound pretty similar. Uh, so it flows well in that regard. However, there are some points where it gets kind of broken up. However, kind of like what Carl was saying, I think that adds to some of the impact. However, the score is not. I don't think the flow score should really take that variable into account. So that's why I gave it a 7.
Yeah, I also gave it a 7 out of 10. I really just wrote down it's a punk album and it does punk well. There's nothing too whiplashy. There's like that little bit in the middle, and that deducts a couple points.
Are you rushing or are you dragging?
Your tempo, baby?
I gave this actually I wrote down a 9. I'm gonna give it like a 9.25. It's a little more than that for me. I really enjoyed the flow on this album, and it's really interesting because I'm usually like a big cinematic album guy. You know, I'm usually like a hey, break this up, do it differently, change something. For some reason, just like screaming at me for however long it was perfect for this. It seemed to fit everything. And the second I got ear fatigue, they threw in little breaks every time, but it was like just enough for me to catch my breath, and then it would cut back in. I don't know. Maybe this was just a weird experience for me. Maybe I just really enjoyed this album, but I rated it really high.
I did not.
Yeah, it's funny. It sounds like it was almost like epiphatic
Flow.
for Carl and
Yeah.
like nightmarish for you.
For me, I got so fatigued. I got so tired of the same songs. And that's
Bitch.
all. That's the only reason it flows at all in my mind, because it sounds so similar. And it's
I like how we have light Carson and dark Carson on the couch over there. Carl's the happy side of Carson.
This is super unusual. I'm a really hateful person, and I hate a ton of music.
And
Like,
this is really weird. I normally rate shit super fucking high.
I love how out of context that I usually hate music. is gonna be in the Monday. Review.
Can we? Yeah, I was about to say, can we please put that in the Monday reel?
I really
We'll
hate
see if I
music.
get that far into this episode. But yeah, I thought the flow was good up until the end. I gave you little breaks in between. I also gave it similar to Cool Couch, I guess.
You're goddamn right.
7 out of 10.
Trip Sevens, baby.
Hey, Cool Couch isn't as cool as Carson.
It's the Carson Couch.
His dark side and light side Carson.
There must be balance in the fours.
What's Connor?
Man in
The balance.
chair.
Dave.
He's just there.
He's the man in the chair.
And then Yoda's on a snowboard. I hear that painting is haunted.
The painting over there.
Yeah, of Yoda on a snowboard. That one.
One day we're going to have to move that into frame. Referenced it in 2 videos now.
No, they can never see it. It's
Actually,
our
no, it's in
secret.
every interview. Never mind.
Wait,
You're right.
Is his skate or not skateboard? Is his
You're
snowboard
right. If you
say
want to
vape?
see Yoda on a
No, it says
skateboard, go check
Yoda
out our
in Star
interviews.
Wars language.
Yeah, go check
Oh.
out every interview we've ever done and ever will have done because you're a
Go-
dedicated
go,
fan.
Go do that. Go watch those interviews.
Heck yeah, do that.
Yeah,
Oh,
guys, guys, leave a comment if you want me to bring the Ouija board over, and we'll do a conversation. With
I'm
the-
not doing
the
that
Yoda
shit.
painting. I'll do it alone. It's
Listen,
I'll
I,
do
I
it
think
with
my
you.
mom will actually sense that you're doing it and come down here and beat all of our asses.
fine. Okay, we can do it somewhere else.
We'll do it in the middle of the woods.
I'm in.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
y'all can miss me with that shit.
Yes.
Y'all can
I'll
miss
do
me with
that.
that shit.
We'll film a video.
Well, of course.
Content. No. Do overall next.
Alrighty. Well,
Yes.
It's been on my list.
Flow
one.
music overall, then album art.
Yep.
that's how I have
We've
it listed
never
too.
done it in that order.
I do it in that order every week, and then Carson
We're not
clowns me.
supposed to.
That is true.
Overall, I rated this album an 8.31 out of 10. This was the average of all of my ratings, and I figured that was only fitting due to the fact that I thought these songs are kind of homogenous, mostly. So I think that's what warranted that system.
Yeah, I gave this a 7.5 out of 10 overall. It's kind of was hard for me to rate it higher because I had too many 7s and a couple 6s. I did like the album, and I would listen to it again. But as long as I'm allotted that skip button and can just get like 2 of them out of there, I'm golden.
I put this as a 9 out of 10. I actually, this isn't like top 10 favorite albums ever, but it's probably in the top 50, maybe top 100, depending on how long I have to write the list. But you know, I was really impressed with how many different of my bands that I like. I could hear their influences in this, and you know, there were points where you know you guys brought it up. You could hear parts of Bowie, you can hear parts of other things, and I heard parts of Dinosaur Jr. And then I started digging into it, and you know, he said he liked it. You know, I heard parts of even like some of the Red Hot Chili Peppers stuff. Frusciante was super influenced by him, and you know, not that I'm a Nirvana fan, but there's a ton of Nirvana in it. You know, I was like, man, this is really cool, and I think because it's a good album and it's an important album was what made me list it that high, and the fact that it does not sound like it's from 1983 at all.
I thought it was funny that you had to put in the disclaimer. I'm not a Nirvana fan.
It's a valid disclaimer.
It really is.
All right. I gave this overall a 6.57.
Pretentious motherfucker.
Listen, it was supposed to be the last thing because I was making fun of Steven for doing this hardcore yesterday.
He gets it now.
And it was supposed to be a funny bit. But you ruined that for me, Logan. Why must you make my life work?
Good. I'm glad that I bring you pain and suffering. I hope you cry tonight.
I already
Again.
did. Yeah, there you go. Now he's proper. I cried while listening to the album. Actually, it's not my style. In my mind, it's a good album, right? I can see where people will like this. It shines through on the songs that are different. I thought the songs that are different are good. It's not my cup of tea. You know, it all sounds really similar.
Went pretty middle of the road average of my scores and gave it a 7. I didn't add them up or anything, but 7 for the most part, good. There's things I don't like, but I don't really have too much negative to say about this album. It's overall a good album.
Fair enough. Well, I believe that takes us into the album art then. I gave the album art an 8.4 out of 10. I guess I'll start yapping. Nothing especially stood out as, being remarkable with the album art. However, if you were to go to a record store and pick up this album like out of a bin or like a dollar record section or whatever, you would know instantly that it's a punk album. I mean, it does the job. It's a kind of like a gritty, like that little purplish image. It's got, a certain je ne sais quoi to it of like punkness. So it does the job. However, not an 8.41 job or an 8.39 job. So it does get an 8.4.
Yeah. I gave it just a flat 7 out of 10 overall. The way I described it to Steven when he asked what album we were listening to was the one that's Van Halen meets The Clash. And I think that's a perfect descriptor of it. I mean, it's a picture of this dude's Les Paul with P90s with a bunch of weird-ass lines in it in pink with the name of the album. I just like it. Just fun.
I gave this an 8, and I originally rated it a lot lower because I'm a drummer, and every time I see a guitar on an album cover, I'm like, oh, look, it's my guitar on the album. And I'm always like, man, thanks, I appreciate it. That's so cool. I love your guitar. But learning that he spent a lot of time like winding his own pickups and doing all this stuff and how much time he actually put into the tone, it made sense why he would put the guitar on the album. And it really does fit the genre and the rest of the stuff around it. So.
Yeah, I don't know what doing any of that means. I've never rewound my own pickups, and I don't even know what.
You don't
the
even
fuck
know
that
what
means.
pickups are, bro.
They're the thing inside the body of the guitar that pick up the string sound or whatever. Either way, it's the thing inside the thing.
That does the one thing. Which got
For me,
electricity.
that was my review. Basically, it's like, oh, it's a guitar and it's pink. 6 out of 10.
I don't.
Yeah. Nothing much more to say about it. Pink, whatever.
I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's a punk album art. Yeah, it does the job, 100%.
Yeah, got an album. Do we have our album for next week?
Yeah, let me get the name of it.
And we're kind of rolling on shit. We got some big weeks coming up.
I'll do the lead in. Yeah, tune in next week where we listen to Loss of Life by MGMT featuring our guest host, Zach Anderson. He's back on. He was on the second week of season 2. He will be back.
Heck yeah. Huge thank you to Carl for coming on tonight.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you, other me.
Yes,
Thanks.
thanks.
I will take this moment to say goodbye, friends, after saying hello, friends.
I will reabsorb him and we will become one again.